added the other one?
We're
We
recording.
ready? Okay, thank you. The first item of business is the minutes from our May 2nd meeting, which are attached to the agenda that Quinn passed around. And it had also been provided earlier by email. What is your pleasure?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I second.
Thank you, Judy and Joe. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any new business that anyone has to bring forth other than items on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business and new updates on previously discussed projects. First item is the Jackson Street parking lot / hotel. Colleen?
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and through the chair, I can report that since your last meeting, a 6-month extension to the memorandum of understanding with developers Fairmount Properties and North Coast Inns was approved by City Commission at their May 28th meeting. The document has been returned, signed by both parties, and will be forwarded to appropriate parties within city government today. The 6-month extension allows for the developers to continue their due diligence at month 4 or around October, the 1st of October. They will arrive, or they intend to arrive at a go or a no-go decision. If they decide to move forward, we will spend the next 2 months negotiating a development agreement with the goal of having that agreement to City Commission at their first meeting in December.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Seaman?
Do you think there's a chance that there will be a no-go by them? No prediction, no feel for
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, the developer, both parties have indicated a real desire to see a project move forward. They anticipate their due diligence resulting in that being able to happen. But I was actually very forceful in having tasks and benchmarks assigned to months so that we had a roadmap in front of us.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, Judy?
I spoke with Lenny Longer last week, and he asked him about the hotel, and he told me that he didn't think it would start for 3 or 4 years because of construction costs. Just thought I'd add that.
Okay. The environment for construction and financing is tough right now, for
That's
sure.
true.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Washington Row parking. Feedback on that. Who was going to give the update on that? Anybody?
That was my mistake, I think,
Okay.
because you asked it to be added, and I realized Aaron Blair wasn't going to be here, but
Okay.
I should have let you know that she's not going to be here, so
Okay,
she probably
that
couldn't talk about
was
it.
Aaron.
Yes, because I believe that will be tied to Columbus.
Okay.
Avenue
Obviously,
Streetscape?
it's been implemented, and so people have had a chance to give feedback. Obviously, you hear the negative right away.
Is there a specific question that I could bring back to our
I
chief
guess
planner?
the question that was posed the first time that I saw it, and I was at a meeting downtown, where people were concerned about fire access with long bed pickup trucks on both sides potentially being an obstacle. But that was the only concern I heard. You know, if you don't like angle parking, you don't like angle parking. But other than that, it seemed to add quite a few parking places, and I'm living with it. It's not a problem for me, so, all right.
You don't drive a fire truck.
I don't drive a fire truck nor a long bed pickup,
That's
so.
true.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I heard similar concerns with regard to the narrowing of the street for that reason, and for fire concerns and large trucks getting into that area. So I do understand the concern. That's all I have.
As long as it's been vetted, I guess you'd say.
Yep.
Either that or we ban long bed pickups on that street. When there's two cars, I don't think it's.
Is that a motion?
No, it's not a motion on my part. I think we have to hear if the fire department has tested that out yet. Yes, David.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure what the requirement is for width of a passage for fire apparatus. I'm sure there's a standard that they designed to of 15 feet or 12 feet or however many feet. I wondered how, I mean, just because it looks so much different than it used to in the past, it's taken me a while to adjust to the narrower streets on the waterfront, but I certainly understand the advantage of it. And certainly it's within the design parameters of our fire apparatus. So just for curiosity, is it a concern? Because we have, even with two long bed pickup trucks parking against each other, 15 feet or 12 feet or whatever the required minimum is.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Klein, I think is going to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what I can say
State.
through the chair is that when we do any change, and I'll have to confirm that it was done on this one, but when we do any change to traffic or parking or anything like that, we run it through all of the emergency services. We route it through transit. We route it through pretty much any entity that might be affected, often the school district, to make sure it doesn't affect the buses, the hospital, the ambulance, all of those things. So I'll have to check, and I'll let Quinn know if this is, and she can let the committee know if the fire department did sign off on this. But that's our normal practice and normal procedure, and I don't know why we would have strayed from that when we did this. And this was something that has been discussed for several years, and it's something that it was obviously a topic as well during the Columbus Avenue streetscape discussions. And so we wanted to make sure that, because we've been talking about it for a while, that we implemented it prior to Columbus Avenue getting under construction, also prior to summer. That way we didn't have a change right in the middle of our busiest season downtown. So, the timing of it was really something that was very intentional on our part to make sure that we had it at this time. So, but I can certainly follow up with my staff and get back to you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, it seems like you can't move a stop sign or anything without discovering that 50% of your population is retired traffic engineers. And I guess we'll add parking striping to that. I'm more worried about not doing things because of fear of the blowback than missing opportunities that we've been taking and being proactive about improving things, finding the low-hanging fruit, finding the opportunities to make things better. And just like I was delighted when they diagonally striped down Market Street when there's no striping at all, and the road was 50 feet wide and people were driving 50 miles an hour. You can pretty much correlate the vehicles, the average vehicle speed seems to be exactly the width of the road. And so if you can you can make things safer, not more dangerous when you do things like this. So I don't want anything to discourage the work that this department has been doing.
Thank you. Any other items or comments on Washington Row parking? All right. If not, we'll move on to the old business and the group of items that were indicated no updates since the last meeting. Does anybody have any specific questions or concerns on any of those items or any updates since the agenda was published? Mr. Klein?
I do have some updates. Knowing that I'm not going to be here in July, I think it might be important to provide a few updates to the group.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And I did see Mr. Miller, if you had something specific.
I'll wait until you address it already.
Okay. So on the ODOT urban paving, item H on the list, That project has begun. That is the Venice Road project, and I do want everybody to know that because that is a route for the Ironman, we have asked ODOT in their construction documents, and they did put it in their construction documents to make sure that that stretch on Venice and Fremont is complete prior to July 4th. So we should be good for July 4th activities. It should be cleared up, and they should be off of Venice Road. Now, that same restriction doesn't apply to the concrete section on Milan Road, but they're doing everything they can to address that in a timely manner and make sure that they're not in the way of the busy times when those things are happening. So I just wanted to touch on that one. And I guess, would the chairman like me to pause after each one for questions or just keep going? All right.
I'll let it to your discretion. If you
Okay.
see somebody that's raised their eyes or looks like they're paying attention, go ahead and ask. Just kidding, just kidding. It's early, it's early.
Also, Wheels Park, item I, the intent by the contractor, we just had the pre-construction meeting last week. The intent by the contractor is to start July 8th or 9th. That's going to be starting the demolition. There should be some press releases coming out for that and some information coming out that the last availability of the existing skate park is going to be that July 4th week. July 7th, I believe, is the last day. So they will start demolition on the 8th, and the goal is to complete that project still by the end of this calendar year. Obviously, with they're expecting about a 3-month concrete pour for the actual ramps itself. So that's going to really play into weather and making sure that we have good conditions for that. East Water Street, that project is complete. The only item besides a couple punch lists, the only item remaining, I do want to make the committee aware, is at that crossing at Warren Street where there's a node at the park. And it goes south to Warren, that we are going to put our RFBs, which are those rapid flashing beacons that we have, similar to what we have down on Venice Road at that crossing. So those will be up there for pedestrian because it is somewhat of a mid-block crossing, and a lot of visitors do like to visit Shoreline Park. So we're trying to make that more visible for everybody, including the folks that aren't from this community that would be more familiar with it. But that project is relatively complete besides those punch list items. And I just want to remind the public, whoever's watching, that the bike path is not for cars or trucks or other things like that. We are putting those flexible bollards on at the highly trafficked driveways on the western side, so anybody that's pulling out doesn't consider that as a road. It does look like a road if we don't have those, but we've also moved ahead and put the stencil of the bicycle with the rider on it at each of those driveways as well, to hopefully make sure that folks are very aware that they shouldn't be driving on that. So those were the 3 updates that I wanted to bring up here.
Okay. The only thing that I've seen, and I only noticed it once, was at, I think it was Franklin Street, at that intersection. There's almost like 2 accesses. There's the direct walkway that is marked as a pedestrian path, but then there's another looks like an access to the east, maybe about 10 feet. And I've noticed a couple of pedestrians, instead of using the straight across, kind of doing the jaywalk, so to speak, which could be dangerous. I'm not sure why that second access is there.
Yes, that is supposed to be just a feature that is included, as that intersection is considered a node. So because of that sharp turn, that is at that intersection. Typically, what a node would just be kind of a round concrete area that would cause somebody to realize that they have to change direction or a change in direction is coming. So they did add some other features knowing that that was at a park, and also what we tried to do with the design is we didn't want to make it as elaborate as Shoreline Drive with the plantings and the landscaping and everything else. We also knew that Meg's was not as landscaped as Shoreline Drive. So we tried to make that a transition. So we tried to continue the landscaping from west to east, but kind of downsize the landscaping as we move farther west so that there was a more natural transition with that, and better for staffs to make sure that staff can actually maintain it to the standards that everybody expects. So that node that was put there does have a few features. We're considering benches and things like that, and if we want to do that in the future, what we might do to enhance that node and make it so that people aren't looking at it as additional crosswalks and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
David?
I waited patiently, he didn't address it. But this is a Judy thing, so I'm stealing Judy's thought. I wanted to ask about the restrooms in the park concept. I was astounded when Judy brought it up, and it was before my memory that there was restrooms where that sunken fountain area is. And the aha moment of how could we have gotten this far in the process without anticipating the need if we have really a public pedestrian area that it's a long ways from there down to Shoreline, if you even know where, or down to the Jackson Street Pier, if you even know where that restroom is. And being relatively spry and fit compared to some of the people I know, I've had to make that trip in a hurry in the 4th of July or sometime like that. So it's such a good idea.
Thank you.
I know there's like 10% contingency on the job or something. I don't know what could be a higher priority as a miss that one sort of situation. And I thought I heard Aaron say that, oh yeah, we'll look into that. I don't know where that is.
I will make sure that, or I'll ask Aaron to be able to have an update at the July meeting regarding that issue.
Thank you, David. Any other items? Aaron, are you done with all of your,
Mr.
updates?
Chair?
Yes.
There is one item that I would like for the next meeting, if we
Okay.
could. At our last meeting, I believe Aaron brought up the fact that there was a parking committee and they were looking at a 31 block area. I was wondering if we could have an update on that.
Good idea. That probably should be a standing item on the agenda.
Do you want it put under new business for the next one, or?
Since it's been brought up, I think we could keep it under old business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, I'm sorry.
Yeah, following up on Mark's idea, and maybe it's just my own limitation of a visual thing, but when we get that presentation of that 31 blocks, if there's a graphic that, I can look at and understand what area is encompassed as opposed to just a description bounded by streets or whatever, I'm visual that way. That'd be helpful to me.
That'd be good. Mr. Zuloff.
Yeah, just kind of connecting to the new area, of the yacht club, which, by the way, looks fantastic and it's really appreciated. Was just reminded as I was gazing at it that it already had dark sky compliant streetlights that probably nobody notices unless you're thinking about that sort of thing. And they've been there for quite a while, and I guess you didn't have to do anything about that. I also noticed that if you go down Shoreline, I was sort of frustrated last year seeing, that it was still being treated a bit like an alley, old habits die hard, trash and, objects that were, in the way inside being left outside. And I've noticed a huge difference. I don't know who gets credit for that. Probably a combination of the merchants and code enforcement and just everybody pulling together, but making it a welcoming, friendly place to visit and to spend time instead of looking like an alley. And it's noticed. I think it's making a difference. There's also seems to be more compliance with keeping dumpsters and other trash receptacles in good condition. The lids should be in good order. The lids should be down. They shouldn't be leaking. They shouldn't be looking bad. They should be looking orderly and neat. And I'm seeing that. There are health issues too. One of the things that happens when you don't have a lid on a dumpster is it fills with rain, and then the haulers are spilling swill all over town because a bunch of dirty water gets dumped in the hopper, and it gets spilled everywhere. So, and I've got some nice pictures if anybody would like to see it of how delicious that looks when you get all of a sudden 50 gallons of swill out of a garbage truck spilling out when they cycle it. So anyway, it's noticed. It's been noticeably different in my opinion. And I invite people to think of it when they go down there and look around and realize that it's gotten better.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Klein?
Yes, I apologize. I do have two other items that I did want to bring up.
Great.
The Justice Center, that project is anticipated now for a completion in August. The contractor's working real hard. They had some equipment delays, and I think everybody's aware that there were asbestos issues that were unknown prior as well. And all those things caused some delays, so we're looking at August as an opening date. You should see quite a bit of work on the outside. A lot of the concrete's going to be poured, the windows are in, there's a little bit of facade work left on the building, but for the most part, and the fence and the gate that go on the east side, on the water side, between the Justice Center and the skate park, that should be coming in the next month or so. And I would like to let the public know and the sailing club know as well that that parking lot by the tennis court is open. It is open for traffic to go through. There's a big sign there that says stay out. That's to keep people from walking through the zone, but if they need access to Battery Park, there's also the access still at Water Street and the access at Market Street to get into Battery Park. So I just wanted the committee to know that we're still moving forward as quickly as possible, and August is the date we're looking at. And the last one that I just thought of was the Sandusky Bay Pathway and the landing. We are still hoping to bid those projects, the pathway piece being the piece from Cedar Point Drive to Heminger Ditch. We're still hoping to bid those projects this summer. We've reached some delays with the environmental reviews, so that's really what's holding everything up right now. So as soon as we get all that information back, and as soon as ODOT finalizes theirs as well for the pathway piece, we'll move forward and bid those projects, and hopefully we can start constructing this fall. So.
Okay, thank you. David.
Another one that just kind of occurred to me, it's on the list of the wetlands on the causeway. Driving by there recently, I was kind of astounded to see it's just a big, open, flat, dry, and it occurred to me, and I'm trying to verify, the lake level varies, and therefore the bay level varies more than what that tabletop is, so that when a nor'easter comes in, that'll all be submerged, correct? And that, therefore, it'll be kind of like a marshland, like a wetland, or will it, when the lake goes down, it'll dry up again? Or will that kind of be like a marshy habitat eventually, or will that be up above normal and dry and like a grassy field, or how's that going to look?
Yeah, through the chairman. So that entire area, we tried to do temporary seeding with native vegetation on the northern part of that cell, that northern cell that's out there. The southern cell still has between 15 and 20,000 cubic yards capacity remaining that can take additional dredge. Unfortunately, when the federal government dredges the shipping channel, it's significantly more than that. So the end goal is not what you see now. It's not even really remotely what you see out there now. What has to happen is we need that material to solidify, and we need it to really, I know it sounds kind of weird because it's in the lake, but we need it to dewater. So we need the water to bleed out so that it gets more compact, so then we can get equipment out there and reshape it. What we're going to do is we're going to create habitat, so there'll be some channels going through it so water can flow through it. And we'll have habitat for various species of fish. There'll be bird habitat, all the aquatic type species. So that the intent of that is to create a natural shoreline and a natural wetlands that will filter the particulates and filter the nutrients out of the water and take it up through that vegetation, the natural vegetation. So when the waves are high, the perimeter dike is designed, there's several different types of rock that was installed in there and is designed to allow the water to overflow eventually and to replenish that wetlands with water if we're not getting the proper flow through it. And then the water can seep back out and allow the vegetation not to be inundated. So it is designed to allow that to happen, but in its current state, if it does happen, it just delays our ability to have it compacted to move forward with the next phase of the project. We did speak earlier this week with ODNR, Ohio EPA, Corps, consultant, and others, trying to see if there's a way that we can speed up that process and not make it just look like a sand dune in the middle of, at the entrance to Cedar Point and the Chaussee. So we're talking about options for that to see if we can get it moving more quickly.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, with the dredging material not going to be deposited there, what's the goal for getting more fill material?
So that's something that we spoke about, and I have some ideas of how to get that material. I know there are other projects happening, and I might try to reach out to those projects and see if we can, the smaller channel that the Cedar Point that's being done in the Eastern Bay, I know that's at least a 2-phase project. And the first phase already started, and they're hauling the material out now. So I'm still need to reach out to that contractor for a future phase when that bids out and see if it's something that might be possible to get 15 to 20,000 cubic yards. We just need to make sure it's the appropriate material, it's not contaminated, those types of things.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? All right. Any other items for the meeting today? There are no community members here, so no input from them. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn. Thank you. Thank you.